Day 7 of me rewatching and reviewing The Legend of Korra every day until I finish the series. I will be structuring this video into 3 key points. Point number 1, the utter and complete failure to establish the Equalists as a believable cause. The writers did such a bad job to establish the Equalists in the story that I am now convinced that benders are the ones who are being oppressed, not the other way around. This starts with barely having any instances of benders mistreating non-benders, but having several instances of non-benders having immense prejudice and, dare I say, direct racism against benders. We see Amon and the Equalists capture and remove bending from the triad, which is okay since they were criminals, right? But then there's someone like Bo Lin who was just in the mix. So clearly not all of them were evil. There could have just been innocent benders trying to make a living. And what do they get for having bending? Having part of their identity removed from them. Then you look at Amon's speeches and implementation of his plans, and you realize that he's against bending itself, not the evils it has done, because Amon doesn't give a single damn about who is guilty and who is not, nor do the Equalists. And in this episode, nor does Hiroshi Sato. They just hate benders and want them gone, punishing the crimes of the few on the many for simply being born that way. Seems familiar to a certain historical figure who wanted to cleanse a population of people for something only a few did, doesn't it? We even have Asami immediately assume the reason Hiroshi was being questioned is because he's a non-bender, when that's literally not the case. The police force never said it was the case. In fact, the police found a lead and went to question him. So what is this dumb insinuation doing here, and why is Asami the one saying this? But beyond that, the story is just proving me right. Money is still the main cause of inequality, because Hiroshi, using his massive wealth, has now created tools that make benders at a complete disadvantage. So I ask again, where is the inequality between benders and non-benders if not for money? Point number 2, Chief Beifong's incompetence continues. At the end of this episode, they try to make it a sad thing that Lin is leaving her position as the police chief. But come on, Lin, you should have done better. Not only was it your mistake that allowed Amon to perform a terror attack on the arena, but you got a tip about a possible Equalist giant who is bankrolling Amon, and you don't even bother using your seismic sense to its full potential? I'm really glad they brought seismic sense into this series as well. But Lin, when you got to the underground bit, you couldn't just use it again to see if the place was actually empty? Really? She tries bending the giant gate to get out, but Bo Lin later bends the floor to get out. So why couldn't she think of doing the same thing? You see, writers, you were going for a suspenseful moment, but it came at the expense of an intelligent character's brain cells. You are Toph's daughter. Did she not teach you how to tell who's lying using seismic sense? This would have certainly saved you time when talking to Hiroshi Sato, but I guess you can just justify that by saying the floor was wooden, or that she just isn't a good seismic sense user, or her intelligence just isn't that great. Whichever excuse you go with, I'm fine with it. And point number 3, this one is a bit less serious, but Asami's role in the story so far is just to be a victim of lies, and I'm growing resentful of that. No one has told Asami that Mako cheated on her with Korra. Not a single word. Not from Bo Lin, Korra, or Mako. She is being kept in the dark, dating a scumbag. But it gets worse when you just see Korra suddenly so caring over her. Lady, you kissed her boyfriend. Be quiet and sit in the corner. Feel shame. But the stuff with Hiroshi also lying to her seems so tragic. It's like the story systematically taking everything from her. And I certainly hope it's so Asami can actually grow from all of this as a character. Also, am I the only one thinking she was way too quick to shock her father there? When prior, it seemed evident that she was very defensive and protective of her father. And as a friend of the channel has suggested, making Asami also an Equalist would have made the story far more interesting. To just shift her entire role from this innocent girl being nice to everyone, but secretly working with her father on Amon's side. But we did not get that. Hopefully the story treats Asami well, because so far, she is the one character who has done nothing wrong and is still being crapped on for no reason. I will give this episode an 8 out of 10. The story seems to be progressing quickly and the threat of the Equalists seems real now. Everything seems to be moving towards an inevitable final clash, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.